again, back to the current election, where do you disagree with your opponents on issues?
Well, I've got three other opponents. There's a Libertarian Party candidate, a Constitution Party candidate, and a Republican candidate. And we have done some joint debates, but not a lot. My understanding is from the Republican candidate in particular, he comes from a certain point of view and is very active in some political causes, particularly involving stem cell research, and he's against that, and so has made that a very fundamental part of his campaign platform, being against stem cell research and wanting to take those views into the office. You know, I see the Secretary of State's office as different from that. I see it much more as an umpire on things, that it's our job to, you know, if it's an issue that goes before the voters, to let the voters decide how they do this, and not do it in any kind of biased way. And sure, people complain all the time. We get lawsuits filed against us, usually by both sides in these issues. So I figure if they're both suing me, I must be doing something right.
What do you see as the primary role then of the Secretary of State? Maybe you've talked about it a little bit as we've spoken, but is there something other than being that umpire, as you mentioned?
Well, there's so many different tasks. I mean, I think of the office as like having different business units, and many times these businesses don't overlap with each other. If you're doing something to help a small business, that doesn't have anything to do with elections, really, and it doesn't have anything to do with the state libraries or the state archives, or perhaps even the investor protection role that we play. So we wear a lot of different hats. So the key thing is to have somebody who understands these different areas, is a good manager of the office, and wants to get results for people. And every one of those is vitally important for the folks who need our office.
You talked some about upgrading the technology and doing some other things, but other than what we've mentioned, do you have a short to-do list as far as what you will do once you are elected?
No, my to-do list is long. There are lots of things to do. In fact, in the legislature, there were a number of things that I've tried to do over the past couple of years that we haven't gotten done yet. One in particular is early voting. It's something that 30 other states allow their citizens to do, and what that means is you can vote prior to Election Day with no excuse, right? In Missouri, you have to, have an excuse. You're going to be out of town, you're going to be sick, or some other reason you can't show up on Election Day. 30 other states let folks vote whenever they want, a couple of weeks prior to Election Day with no excuse. I think we need to have that convenience here. 7 of our 8 neighboring states allow that already, and I think we should have it as well. So that's high on my list. Another thing that I'm very focused on doing is changing the business registration requirements. Right now, if you have a corporation in Missouri, you have to do what's called an annual report. Okay, because every year you have to file paperwork with the Secretary of State's office saying, "Yep, we're the same as we were last year," or updating things if something has changed. It seems to me we don't have to do that every year. We can change it. We can do it every 2 years, sort of like your car license. You used to have to do every year, and now you do it every 2 years. We can do some common sense things like this that save time, save money, and are just good business sense. So there's a long list of things. Many of them require legislation. If they don't require legislation, I've probably done them already. If they do, we're going to go back to the legislature and get those changes.
How do you work with the legislature as a Secretary of State differently than some of the other offices within the state?
Well, we just focus on the issues that our customers want us focused on, and the job I have to do. And those are the things that I've talked about. We do with small businesses and work with them and try to make that an easier process. We protect investors. We work with the state archives and the state library. We also do all the work that has to do with elections. So if it's on those topics, I'm the one in my office are the ones who go forward and talk about and come up with the creative ideas to get things done. So if it's on some other topic, maybe it's healthcare, maybe it's education, it's not directly within the purview of what we do, so we're much less involved in those conversations.
All right, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about that I haven't asked you about while we've been chatting?
Well, I just focus on a couple of things. Number one, I don't know when this is going to run, but we've got a week to go from today for voter registration. I'd encourage everybody to get out there and get registered. And remind folks that it's not just about registering for the first time. If you've changed your address or changed your name or otherwise changed something, you need to re-register to vote. So that's an important thing. And the second is, elections are sort of these miraculous things where we come together as a community It's not something that someone does to us. Elections are things we collectively decide are a good idea and in the best interest of our country. And what that means is we all need to participate. So I've been trying hard to encourage people to become poll workers. That's the people who are there making the elections run on election day and making sure it's fair and that people get to vote if they're supposed to and they don't vote if they're not supposed to, and that the votes are counted right. I'm very much enthusiastic about trying to get students involved in that process and have a lot of grants available for that. So go to our website, sign up to be a poll worker, and make sure your voter registration is up to date.
All right, thank you very much for coming in and
All right.
speaking with me for a little bit this afternoon. I appreciate it.
Thank you.